Here's the first most obvious question. What is so special and beautiful about this story, and what were the biggest challenges and rewards of bringing it to screen in the way you have?
The story is so special because it tells the story about the modern world. It reflects it, because it's really about how being polarized in politics and life doesn't get you very far. Whereas if an angel and a demon can get on together over the whole of time, then maybe the rest of us can get on together as well.
It's hard to imagine a better fit for that angel and demon than the devilishly talented David Tennant and the angelically wonderful Michael Sheen. Can you talk a little bit about both of them and a little bit more about their characters? Because it's a wonderful dynamic between them.
Well, Neil and Terry Pratchett actually wrote the characters as one character to start with, and then split them apart. And in a way, that's what it feels like when you see them on screen. It feels like it's two characters dancing around each other and trying to make it one. So that's what it was like.
Can you talk a little bit about the changes between the book and the screen version? Because obviously, particularly John Hamm's character, a bit more expanded, and then other things have hit the floor.
Yeah, Neil felt like most of the book translates pretty straightforwardly into the screen, but he also felt like he wanted to build on some of the structures and the hierarchies, and one of them was the relationship between God and Beelzebub, between the devil and Beelzebub, and then between God and the Archangel Gabriel. And also, we just wanted John Hamm.
In terms of the scenes, obviously, it's astonishing visually. Fans will have things they're excited to see on screen. What are you most excited for fans of the book to see realised on screen? Is there a particular episode or sequence that you think is the highlight of the series for you?
I think the fans will love things like the seance, and I think they'll love things like Crowley driving the car when it's on fire. And I think those are amazing things. And also the bookshop goes on fire, which everybody's all worried about. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they react to that.
I'm curious, in terms of those effects, how much of it was practical, and did you have any particularly near-apocalyptic experiences on set?
No, the big secret of stunts like that is to make them look dangerous and not be dangerous. We've got a whole mixture of real effects plus CGI in a way that you couldn't have done a few years ago on television, but which we did to a great extent on this.
Talk about how special and poignant it is to have people like Terry and Neil behind the camera, and obviously, Terry not able to see it today with us, but do you think you'd be very proud and happy with what you've done with his work?
I never had the privilege of meeting Terry, but I'm told by all concerned that he would have loved what we've done, so that's good enough for me.
It's wonderful to have you with us tonight. I think the first most obvious question, can you talk about the challenges and rewards of taking this iconic story and adapting it for this miniseries?
The challenge is, it turns out that Good Omens just happens to be just about everybody's favourite book. So Michael Sheen's favourite book, John Hamm's favourite book. That's quite a responsibility. And then you've got a crew of hundreds, and it's a beloved book to all of those people, those guys as well. So obviously you want to do your best by the book. So the biggest challenge is the book. Every day was the book. And having Terry Pratchett sitting on your shoulder telling you not to mess up, that was a challenge for me personally.
Of all of the great creative output that those two geniuses have given us, why do you think this one is, like you say, for so many actors, so many storytellers, one that they latch onto, one that means so much to them?
It's a great question. It's a really accessible book, and it's a really accessible show. So I think that's why. The book reads like a movie. A very hard to adapt movie, but it reads like a movie. And in fact, for me, now is the only time and the only place in time and space where it could have happened, because TV being what it is now with the streamers allowing us to make a 6-hour movie. So that's a very important thing for me, very important thing, that only now could we have done this amazing thing.
Talking of it being somewhat like a movie, a premiere of this size, did you ever think you'd see something like that for a TV show rather than a film? Because this is a full-blown movie premiere.
This is entirely a fully blown movie premiere, and there's David Tennant just over there doing his stuff. No. Did I ever expect this? No. I thought we might have a cast and crew screening. I thought we might have something for our families. I never expected this, ever. Thank you, Amazon. Thank you, BBC. This is incredible.
Talking about David and Michael, it's hard to imagine this series existing without them. Can you talk a little bit about the unique qualities they both have as performers that make them such a perfect fit both together and for these characters?
Yeah, absolutely. The unique fit of anything else is the magic that they created between them. So they'd been in the same movie together, but they'd never acted together. And within 20 minutes of our read-through, these guys were just singing together, dancing together. It was absolutely beautiful. You'll see it on the screen. It's a proper, beautiful magic. We couldn't have expected anything else. We couldn't have expected anything more. It is incredible. The magic that they create is fantastic.
You talk about the visual magic, because I think obviously the look and feel of the series, even just from the trailer, seems like something quite special.
The look of it looks like a movie. It looks like a very, very expensive movie. And yet there's 6 hours of it on TV. That's incredible. And we have been very, very blessed with a wonderful production designer, Michael Ralph, who's created this wonderful look for Good Omens. We couldn't be happier. It's unbelievable.
Talk a little bit about, particularly some of the differences between the series and the book, because obviously particularly John Hamm's character, Gabriel, is much expanded upon in this version.
Absolutely. Well, there's always going to be things that we would have to lose out of the book to make it fit. So even if you've got 6 hours, you'd want 7 hours or 8 hours or 9 hours. So you would always want more time. So some things had to be cut. But to make certain things more coherent, some characters had to be melded together. And in fact, the angel Gabriel was a character that Neil and Terry had spoken about during the writing of Good Omens. But in the writing of the screenplay, Neil needed somebody to fit that bill. Somebody at head office, the really pedantic boss. However hard you're trying, he always wants you to try harder. And that's Gabriel.
Obviously, can you talk a little bit about, for you, what the heart of this story is and how proud you are to see it realised on screen finally in this beautiful way?
The heart of the story was Terry Pratchett and I getting together over 30 years ago and deciding to write a novel about an angel and a demon working together to stop the apocalypse from happening, to stop Armageddon. And because we liked the world, both of us, Terry and me, and we thought it was a really good place and it was worth saving. And we wanted to write about that. What's happened since, Terry, we tried to make it into a film for many years. Terry Gilliam tried to make it into a film. Then Terry Gilliam actually suggested we make it into a TV show. We looked for somebody to do it for us. We couldn't find anybody. And finally, about 5 years ago, Terry he wrote me a letter and he said, you have to do this. I know how busy you are, but you have to write it and make a show that I can watch before the lights go out. And I said, okay. And then Terry died, which meant suddenly this had become a last request. So I came back from Terry's funeral and started to write the first episode. And it took 2 years to get to the point where we started shooting. And it took 2 years to get from there to now, because it was a long, long shoot and then almost a year of post-production. There's so much CGI, special effects, amazing things. And now I'm here absolutely dazed and looking around at a green carpet, this first ever Leicester Square premiere for a TV show, and I'm just so proud of what we brought to the world.
And Michael Sheen and David Tennant are starring as your leads in this. What made you decide that they were the right ones to play the demon and the angel?
I've known Michael for about a decade. Michael was actually there with me when Terry Gilliam suggested we do it for television. I started sending Michael the scripts as I was writing them just for comments. Somewhere in there I thought maybe he'd make a good Crowley. And then I realized as I was writing it that I wanted David Tennant for Crowley and I wanted Michael for Aziraphale. And Michael and I had an incredibly awkward and embarrassing dinner when I had to break it to him that I wanted him to be Aziraphale, not Crowley. And he was a little too nervous to break to me that he'd read the scripts and didn't want to play Crowley, but really wanted to play Aziraphale. So we were very, very awkward at each other for most of the meal. And finally I explained, and he was like so relieved. And I had my Crowley, and then we approached David, we had our Aziraphale, and I thought, now I need my angel Gabriel, and I wrote an email to John Hamm because I knew that he'd been a fan of Good Omens when he was at school, and he said yes. And really, I mean, I have the world's greatest cast here, and I have it because pretty much everybody we asked said yes. If they could do it, they said yes. So we got the Derek Jacobys, Miranda Richardson, Adria Arjona. We got, Mark Gatiss and all of the League of Gentlemen come in and just do these wonderful little parts for us. It's so glorious.
Terry, as one of our favourite storytellers, I'm curious what you think makes people like Neil and Terry Pratchett such iconic and important storytellers.
Well, they're important and iconic because I like their work. That's why. It's as simple as that. I mean, it was years ago when Neil, Terry, and I met, and we were talking about doing Good Omens as a film. And I spent quite a bit of time. We wrote a script, cinema script. Johnny Depp was going to be in it, Robin Williams. But in a strange way, it's better to be a 6-part television series because we had to throw out so much of the book to squeeze into 2 hours and 10 minutes. So I'm excited to see what they've done.
And I'm curious, obviously, you're famous not just for the wonderful films you've made, but for the unfortunate times when you haven't got to make them. I'm curious where you put Good Omens in that list of disappointments in terms of films that you didn't quite get to have the chance to explore.
Yeah, I think it would have been nice because I actually did a lot of interesting storyboards that I don't think will be in what we're watching tonight, because I thought quite a bit about it. And I think their work was so good. To read the book the first time was astonishing, and then to find out that Hollywood studios had no interest in it, even though it had sold millions by then. And that's been part of the problem with dealing with Hollywood. So, and that was with Johnny Depp before Pirates of the Caribbean. So,
I'm curious, what is it about Good Omens that interests you? Because I think obviously, there's a lot of nuance and layers to it, but what is it that most speaks to you about that story?
Well, representatives of heaven and hell having a good time on earth, and suddenly along comes the Antichrist, and it spoils all the fun they've been having. I love the fact they were like these two characters who one represented heaven, one hell, and they found a little quiet island somewhere called Earth, and they were having a wonderful time. They divided up the place, and each got to do what they wanted to do, and as long as they keep this going, life was great. And then along comes Armageddon. It always ruins everything. Armageddon has always been a ruiner of good parties.
No.
Yeah, it is. Violence.
Now Amazon have decided to make one of Terry Pratchett's books. Is there another one that you would like to try and approach now?
Not at the moment. I'm looking for something to do. I don't know what I'm going to do next. Now I've got Quixote out of my system. I'm looking around, but I think what I liked about Good Omens more than many of the other books, the combination of Neil and Terry became more interesting. Because Terry's world is very complete, but with Neil in there, it started getting pulled apart in different ways, and that's what I liked about it.
I'm curious, Terry, Don Quixote is obviously something that you fought so hard for. Can you describe your feelings now that you've finally scratched that itch?
Well, it's done, and I think it's a wonderful film. That's what was nice. Fuck the audience. I was just interested in would I be satisfied at the end of the day, and I am. So, no, and the reactions are great. It's really good. So I'm happy. My problem is it has been part of my life for so long. There's a big void there. I don't know what to do now. But anyway, that part of my life is finished. That's a good bit.
I think obviously with this, I guess my final question, people have been very quick, talking about reactions and audiences, people have been very quick to project political symbolism onto this story. Do you think that's making it harder to tell stories, the fact that people want to tie it too closely to politics and the real world and those kinds of things?
People can do what they want. I like making, and I like what other people do, making films and TV that can be read by different people in different ways. I think that's wonderful. People always project their own idea of the world onto whatever they see. So good luck to them. That's all.
And then I guess the obvious question to start with, can you tell us, for people who aren't fans of this original source material, a little bit about your character and where she fits into this astonishing world?
Yes, Anathema Device is a descendant of Agnes Nutter, and she kind of lives her life through these prophecies, and she's not very good at following them, but has kind of had a dictation her whole life of what was going to happen. And the big question is kind of, is she going to live her life as this descendant and continue knowing what's going to happen, or try to discover what's going to happen, or is she really going to start living by what her heart tells her and her own opinions? And I kind of really like that about her. She's I think the first time I've played a role where I'm not the girlfriend enough, or the nurse, or the this. Anathema really is a well-rounded character, and I think Neil is brilliant at writing female characters, and I'm so lucky.
Can you talk a little bit about what excited you most overall about this story, and what fans can expect from the series as a whole?
I think what excited me the most was that I was able to play a woman that was well-rounded and had desires and was doing something. It was actually propelling the story forward. That was really exciting, working with Michael and David and John and all these incredible actors. I mean, it was one after the other, and being able to work with Neil and Doug, all of those things were exciting. And I think the fans are really going to see that book that they once imagined in their head come to life in such an exciting and thrilling way. And for people that haven't seen the book, I think it's a story that is so relatable, and it has no age. I showed it to my 9-year-old brother, I showed it to my grandmother, and they all seem to love it. So that, I think that's...
Last question. You mentioned Michael and David, obviously astonishing chemistry on screen. What were your fondest memories being with them on set?
Because I'm not with them all the time, I saw them a lot in hair and makeup together, and they're kind of the same. They work symbiotically really cool, and they're just really funny and kind, and I don't know, we just had such a good time. It's hard. We also filmed this 2 years ago, so now it's hard for me to remember, but they're amazing.
Tell us a little bit about each of your characters and what makes them individually and collectively such a fascinating duo.
Well, I play the angel Aziraphale.
Yes, and I play the demon Crowley.
And they have both been on Earth representing their respective head offices, since the Garden of Eden. I've been trying to keep mankind on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, and I've been trying to corrupt it. But as the millennia go on, they realise that actually they could help each other out. As effectively they cancel each other out anyway. Yeah. They can do what they need to do and slightly cut down the workload.
So they help out the other team when they're busy, so to speak.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that the end times are coming, because this one is charged with bringing the Antichrist into the world.
Yes. So therefore I say, listen, we're about to lose our cushy number living on Earth and enjoying all the things that mortals enjoy, like wine and nice dinners.
Yes.
So we set out to make sure that we can live on Earth, that Earth can continue, and that we don't have to give up all of the niceties we've come to enjoy.
So we try and avert the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Angel, demon work together to avert the apocalypse.
Yeah. There's your tagline.
There you go.
Lads, you're looking so fantastic in your suits. I'm loving them. In terms of swapping roles, did you ever think about, I know you had wanted, you were going to play the demon. Did you ever feel like you wanted to swap roles throughout the series?
I was never going to play the demon. There was a sort of misunderstanding between me and Neil that we each other thought that I was going to play that part, and I thought I'm not good enough to play that part. So we found someone good enough, thank goodness, to actually pull it off.
No, I think it was, for me it was just, Michael was always on board, so I just read the script and thought, what a fantastic part, and I get to play opposite Michael Sheen, and what could be finer?
You guys haven't worked together previously. Did you enjoy the experience?
Sorry, say that again.
You guys haven't worked together previously. You've been in the same movie, but did you enjoy the experience?
We were in Bright Young Things that Stephen Fry directed, but we've never had any scenes together. And we've known each other for a long time, and I've been a huge fan of David's work. So when we came to be able to act together, you never know how it's going to go until you actually start doing it. But it was sort of beyond my wildest dreams.
Why playing an angel and demon? Was it as much fun as it looked? Also, there's a bit of a bromance going on there.
Oh, yes. Well, I think my angel has got a lot of devil in him, and David's demon has got a good soul.
Yes, he's not that bad, really.
Yeah.
They complete each other. They are the yin to each other's yang.
You had me at hell. Hey? How about that? I just made that one up.
Very good. But it is, you're right. It's a buddy movie, really. They are bound together through all eternity.
They're sort of the ultimate odd couple.
Yeah.
It's got a rom-com thing to it, You've got these two characters who sort of don't get along to begin with. So they're going to end up in each other's arms, psychologically speaking.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
Does that mean you had a lot of fun offset together as well?
Well, we did. On the days when it was just me and David, which was a lot, we would have a lovely time just hanging out. But then we'd have these amazing actors, some of which are here tonight, who would pop in every now and again, and then it was just like a party.
Yes, it just sort of kept getting better and better, the people that kept turning up. And even after we finished filming, then other people were coming on and being part of the show. It just sort of kept growing and growing and growing. When I finally saw one of the episodes and the credits come up at the start, there were actors in that I didn't even know we had in the show. who got added in later. It's an incredible roll call.
Was there an added pressure because obviously it was one of the late Sir Terry Pratchett's final wishes that were made? Was there pressure for you guys?
Well, I think Neil took that very, very seriously.
Yeah.
It's a sort of last wish of Terry's. So Terry was very present throughout the filming of it, and in fact, I believe his hat and scarf are going to be in the audience tonight. So he's sort of with us tonight at the premiere as well. So I think that was Neil really took that on board, and I think we felt as well. It's hard not to feel the pressure of all the fans of the book. It's so beloved, and I'm one of them. You know, I read it 30 years ago when it first came out, and so to be able to be part of bringing it to the screen felt like a huge responsibility. But it was just a joy, really, in the end. It's so beautifully written. There's so many amazing people in it. We just had a real laugh.
I think because Neil had written the scripts and was showrunning the whole thing, that took the pressure off us to an extent, because it felt like, well, yes, this book is beloved, and yes, it has a huge expectation and desire to see this adaptation, but we've got the boss here, or one of the bosses.
Yeah.
You know, so if any decision we made, as long as Neil approved it, we knew we were on relatively safe ground.
Yeah.
And finally, those contact lenses. What were they about?
They weren't so bad. I wear contact lenses anyway, and they had my prescription, and so that helped. In the desert in South Africa, they got a little dry.
I felt for you.
They got a little dry that day, a little
sand
gritty.
going in him. He was very brave. He was a very brave soldier, David. He won't say it himself, but he was.